group, and it's 30, it's a 40-minute check-in, but so the invite says 30, but it's every single week. So you have to really get your stuff together. There is a handout that goes with it, right? And you guys have learned this from other things with the why do I want this goal? And really connecting to why you want to do something kind of big. And then they really work on scorecards. So you literally have to keep track every day. If any of you have done online things like Noom or just anything that says, hey, we got to work on this every day. It's only 12 weeks long. So like you can do anything for 12 weeks. And it's also, I put it out at this time so that everybody could like end the year great and still go into the holidays, not frazzled. So if you come in the August group, you're literally done the day before Halloween. If you come in on the September, you're done the weekend after Thanksgiving. So you can decide where your best time is spent, but it is every single Sunday. So the August one is Sunday morning. The September one is September 10th, but that one is in Sunday evening. Because I also have a rewire group. I have 4 groups going right now. So on accountability groups, but the 12-week year for you guys as business owners are probably going to be the most efficient for you, where you can self-track. What I like about any time that we are all together is you get new ideas. And how and the why for everyone. For people who have done the small business cohort, you understand this from rapid planning method. 12-week year is really a lot like the rapid planning method, which is, why do I want to do this? Why is this important to me? And the why has to be big enough for you to haul ass for 12 weeks. And so there are goals that are bigger, but these are really goals that you're going to want to set. The idea is to say, hey, here's the big place I want to go out here. And let me identify the baby steps every day I have to get that'll just get me here. So if I wanted an income goal, then I would go, okay, here I want to make. So a common goal for that would be that I wanted to make an extra 10 or 20 grand. So if, and that's an extra 10 to 20 grand is a really easy goal to get for everybody that's here, because that's an easy business goal for you. But I would say, look, here's what it is, the bigger goal. Why do I want that? Well, because it's the end of the year, right? It's the end of the year. I really want right? You got to figure out the why. And then you have to really work on those daily steps. So those daily steps for many people are identifying those tasks. And so when you're identifying those tasks, you're really looking at, what you're really looking at is, what is the daily thing I have to do to be able to get to that bigger piece? So I'll give you an example from my own life. These little 3x5 cards, right? So sometimes if I have a big goal, I'll go, okay, I got to make 10 phone calls today, or I have to do 10 things that create wealth, or I have to do 10 things that increase where I'm going, right? So when you are looking at that, for me, this is a daily task, is that I have to do 10 things every day that create wealth. That's not 10 goals, that's 1. So you can kind of look at what it is that you want out of that. And then you just keep score. We come in for accountability. You get to say your yay, your nay, and we kind of, get to say hello and see everybody. But the weekly check-in for the 12-week year is really helpful. The 12-week year has a workbook, but I'll give everybody a PDF that has your scorecards and stuff in it for free, because I have it. I have it to give, because I have it to give. Okay, give me, so we've got a lot to come in on today. Of course, again, some of you are watching this later, some of you are watching this now. Tell me the update. So Kathy, we'll start with you. This is your season.
It is, but it has not been my season. Things have been crazy slow. I've had 3 contractors leave or are no longer giving me business. One is fighting some health issues, so free pass all day, every day. Another one is moving up to Duluth to be with his partner. Like, how to, good for you, I'm excited and happy. And the third one is just decided that interior clients are way too high maintenance, and so he wants to focus on exterior projects, which are apparently a lot simpler.
Yeah.
So 3 of the people that consistently give me revenue are out of the game. And last year I did not do a very good job of, I was so busy trying to do all the things that I didn't take time to continue to meet new people and really grow my contractor relationships with new people, because I was like, I can't handle any more work right now. And instead of, I guess this is the lesson that I feel like I'm supposed to learn. First of all, I have to do a better job of managing the cash flow. Like, I can't take out all the money because then you don't have any when the jobs slow down, which is not awesome. And 2, that no matter how busy I am, I need to find a way to still continue to network and find new contractors and find new people. And if that means that I have to hire somebody to do some of the tasks that I don't have the bandwidth to do so that I can continue to grow, that's a better choice than not selling myself and hoping that these people are going to be around forever, because the reality is no one's going to be around forever.
Yeah, but it's scary when you're in it.
It is terrifying. I can't tell you how many times I've cried and melted and just felt really, really less than. Yeah. Because I was doing so good, everything was great, and then now it feels like a ghost town. I mean, I literally have like 10 hours that I'm billing this month. I should be doing that a day.
Well, 10 hours a day is a lot, but yes.
Well, but in busy season, that's probably where I should be.
Yeah, it's 10 hours a day. Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, ideally, I would like to build, 20 or 30 hours a week, every week, consistently. So some valuable lessons. I did reach out to a few people and just said, hey, I'm in a slow spot right now. If you've got stuff you can pass my way, that'd be great. And one of the contractors has been really gracious and has given me in the last 2 weeks, have given me 4 names of clients, and I did 2 quick just consultations, and then I have 2 jobs that are potential jobs. So yeah, it's been interesting.
And that happened with one phone call.
That happened with one phone call. And it's hard. It's hard to ask that, and it's hard. No, I don't know. I don't even know where to meet people anymore. Like, I feel like I'm like, where do I find these said contractors? Because it all kind of came organically initially, and so now I have to fight for it, and that feels uncomfortable.
Well, it feels like, is it uncomfortable, or does it feel like I'm back at square one?
Both, because square one was uncomfortable. Square one, at least that first year, I was so excited. And now I don't feel excited. I feel a little bit more exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I know what it takes, and it's hard and it's scary, and it's putting yourself out there, and it's a lot of nobody responding, and that's always hard on the ego.
Yeah. Can we let the group respond to that, or?
Always.
All right. Well, y'all have been here. Y'all been here. Send her your love. Sandy, what do you want to do? Jamie, and what you know this scene.
I mean,
you rebuilt.
Yeah, you just have to keep meeting and putting yourself out there. I don't know how better to think. I can't remember the term that you use, Nikki, or what you say the thing, but like there's a list, and then there's a list, there's my current, and then there's a list of these always connections and stuff that I consistently make sure at least I connect with them regularly enough that I stay in their sites, their views, their database, their all of that. So so that's, that's I think like that's probably one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur is that when one thing finishes and you're already used to that income and that money coming in, and then you lose that, and then like, where does this other stuff come from? And then also having, what's the term, Mickey? Having reserve money.
Yeah, you got to have a reserve.
And so like, there has to be a reserve amount of money. The reserve money is like a lifesaver in those in between moments. So making that number, that reserve number, makes sense so that you can have 3 to 6 months of, if I don't have any income, I can still live.
So I find that part really challenging because in all honesty, I was making just enough to make it. And so there wasn't really an opportunity to have reserve. I was literally like every money that I made every month went either back into the business or it went into to pay my lifestyle bills. And I might be a little bougie, but I'm not that bougie where like I'm not spending money like it's going out of style. It's daycare and clothes and shoes for kids and all those things. So I'm not sure how to get ahead enough to have that reserve, because I agree.
For me, that has been like, there's always something, and it may not look big, but those littles turn into bigger numbers eventually. So like just very, very small things. Like, yes, my kids need new shoes, but they really don't need that 4th pair. So that 4th pair money goes into, because if I lose this contract, I'm not going to be able to even buy them 1 pair.
And then we have no shoes.
Yeah, then we have no shoes. So it's like for me, why this last year, for the most part, I do my hair is because even though I wasn't spending a lot, that's $150 a month that goes into that fund, and I just bite the bullet. And when I say I don't do hair, I don't do hair. So most of the time it's in a ponytail, I look a hot mess, but I need a slush fund. And honestly, I put some things into like, listen, this just isn't gonna, while I'm building this just isn't gonna get paid. And if it isn't something that directly affects my life, I just have put it over into there. So like, I have internet on my phone. Internet in my household is $90. So I lowered the internet. I have a phone bill. That extra $50 that I save goes into that money. So I just think there's always a creative way to find
That
it.
is very creative, yeah.
Because my phone, I do so much with this. So I balanced out what I do with my phone and this bill and my $90 internet bill. So I took my internet bill down to $45. That $50 goes into that fund.
Right.
That's smart. I love it.
So it is really saying, look, how do I get every dollar working is what I'm hearing from Jamie, right?
Mhm.
Let me put every dollar working, but let me assess. That's an assessment tool.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. Okay, Sandy, words of advice.
So I heard, when you get really busy, you stop the marketing, you stop the reaching out, and that's so common. I mean, that's just how it works. You have no more time. So that's how I always was, I'm so busy. And then at the end of being busy, it's like, okay, now what do I do? And then you start doing all these things. You start calling your clients and doing mailings and Well, several years ago, I got a real estate coach. And then maybe a couple of years after that, I hired a marketing assistant. Well, the idea with that, she was going to be an admin, but she's really a marketing assistant. She's not good at the admin, but she has a graphic design degree. But anyway, so I set up I do a weekly email to my list, and I do, I set up like my neighborhood farm. So I do a monthly mailing to that. And because I have this assistant, it's like I don't think I've ever missed a newsletter. I don't think I've ever missed one.
So does she write it or do you write it? You're like, these are the top 5 points. Can you put them into a pretty
They
paragraph?
do it
for me?
all.
Well, pardon?
Don't they do it all? Don't they do it all for you?
Well, she formats it. No, there's an article I write a lot of the articles, and then some of the articles I pull from a source called Keeping Current Matters. It's a real estate. Anyway, something I subscribe to. And then I'll put, like, if I have a new listing that goes in there, so, but the email, so she puts it together, but I have to give her the content. And that goes out every week. And because I have her to hold me accountable, I mean, we never miss. 2 weeks ago, I hadn't written my article. And it was Wednesday afternoon. And yeah, I did a video. I'm just like, and it was hilarious because she wasn't there. I just had my phone. So I went into one of the resource rooms that everybody can see. It's all glass. And I knocked over my light twice. I tried to plug the lights falling. The girl at the front desk is like laughing hysterically. I finally went into my office to do it in private and cleared all the crap out of the way so they could see artwork behind me. And then my kombucha fell over. I knocked over my kombucha.
Oh.
But anyways, I got out I did the video and I got it out, and that was my newsletter. But it was like, I had to do it. And then the monthly mailing has been going really well because it's very consistent. So I have to admit, some days, sometimes I do skip a month. But anyway, it goes to the neighborhood that I live in. And I really wish I'd been doing this a long time ago, more consistently like I am now. But, you only have so much time and so much money. So you do need help. And now I just bit the bullet, and it's real expensive, but it's like, I just do it. And you wouldn't believe I'm getting so many calls from my neighborhood. I mean, it's just wonderful. Like, I'm working where I want to be working. And so those are 2 things, just real consistent marketing that's like non-negotiable. And I just bit the bullet and did it, and I paid for the marketing gal. So one of the things that I would suggest for you is just call all your past clients and ask them, 1, for testimonial, and 2, just tell them, do you have anybody else I can help? I love to help people like you. Do you have any other friends, neighbors, coworkers that could use a little design help? And then the next thing, be looking for more high-paying jobs. So the reason you're only making enough money to live on, and that's totally normal too, so it's those bigger things that are going to put the money in the savings account,
Right.
where you can have your stash. Yeah. So those are kind of, oh, and do you do any formal networking?
I do, and that's one of the things that I let kind of fall off was the kind of formal networking. But what I'm finding with some of the more formal networking is that, like, I belong to Wink, and I'm not getting business from them. I think that it's helping me as a business owner. I'm meeting other people in the industry, and I like that. I like knowing other people in the industry, but I don't know that it's actually getting me business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's it
Which
called?
I think is part of the challenge of any of that kind of stuff, is that it doesn't always feel like you're getting immediate business, that sometimes it takes a lot of time. Wink, women in construction.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, okay. So that sounds like a fabulous one to stick
It
with.
is really awesome and supportive, but I don't know that I'm ever going to get business from it. I think that it's more of a growth opportunity.
Right. Well, you
Okay.
may be getting alliance from that. And that is worth it in a different sphere. So I'll come back to that. Sandy, what else do you have, because you've been through this?
Well, I think the networking is important, and I don't network. I'm not really actively networking right now in any specific groups. Well, actually, I'm going back to WIN, which is Women in Networking.
Shut up, I am too. I want to be a part of that. And I was a long time ago.
Well, guess where we're going to start meeting?
Where?
My building.
Fun.
Oh,
Well, I was gonna start hosting it and because my building is so perfect. I mean, we've got meeting rooms. It's really easy. We were gonna start hosting it. And then COVID came.
Stupid
Oh,
COVID.
that's great.
So yeah, so then we started doing online. And now they've been meeting downtown, which I never go to because I don't want to go downtown. But now, anyway, now it's going to be starting in my building, I think in September.
Oh,
I
good.
can't remember the date, but I think we're going to start in September, so I'll keep you posted. And
Yeah,
then
please.
it's always a different group of women. It was one thing that was really surprising about Win is like every time I go to a meeting, there'd be different people there. But anyways, I did get a little bit of business out of there, but also just really good connections. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I saw Mickey's raise your price and make it worth it. Yep. Totally.
Right.
So networking was the thing. I highly recommend it. You know, you might need to do it too, especially if you're slow.
Yes.
Yeah, just go for it. If you don't think anything's happening, you book those coffees with those individual ladies and just keep the conversation going.
And I think that's a huge key there, that it's not just about showing up and then leaving and then thinking that the calls are going to flood in. You really have to build those connections and nurture those relationships.
Yeah, two of my very best friends right now, I met through networking in like 2006.
Oh,
We networked together for many years, and they're two of my very best friends. And you know, one of them's worked with me to buy and sell. The other one gives me lots of referrals that I don't even know if any of them have turned into anything, but it's, you know, I'm always top of mind.
I love that.
Plus I have good friends. I'm talking about Prabha and Dorothy.
oh, yes, and I love them.
Yeah.
Love them.
Anyway,
Love them. Kathy,
so
are
I
you
don't
on
want to take up
Zoom?
all the time.
I am. I'm dialing in on my phone because I got to go pick up Ethan and I didn't want to miss anything.
Okay. Okay, well, can I give you the Mickey before you walk out of here?
Mhm.
Okay, so one,
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
enter your meeting ID. One is going back to that revenue piece. So one, you're gonna have to understand just this is a great example and of understanding where your business is, like what kind of business that you are in. When we look at construction, again, we've had a lot of conversations around construction, but construction only has an income stream that you can count on for 7 out of 12 months. So you have to adjust your pricing structure to understand that there will always be 5 months that will be lesser. And anyone in real estate knows that they're not selling 12 months out of the year either. That real estate has an 8 out of 12 month conversation. So that there'll always be 4 months. So you need revenue at the side. And I like Jamie's ideas about getting creative about how you're going to do that. But that's just the industry. When we look at women in construction, remember, women in construction are there to be an alliance to you. They're there to be supportive. They're there to help you withstand your structure and to stay in a business. They're not there to help you do that. So and an alliance gives you credibility. It gives you strength. It says, hey, I am a known member of this society. They know me, they see me, that's an alliance. An alliance is really the valuation of your business. It's not that handing you business. It is the valuation of who are you and what is that valued in the society. So that's a different relationship for you. So understand why you're networking and where. If you're networking just for business in women in construction, it may not work for you because you're all hunting for something, right? To be in a pack of hunters doesn't actually get you fed.
Right.
But it does give you credibility of being able to play in a group of hunters. Right. And in those ways, sometimes you get fed because there's just a huge bounty, but it is to say, this is the pack I travel with. Right. So working on your networking that way will really help as well. And the other part to that is that you view it still as asking for help. When you're calling to go, hey, I'm really slow, you forget that you're actually giving someone a gift. You're really saying, hey, I have Tuesday available, just so you know, right? Hey, I'm noticing I'm gonna have 4 openings in the next month. I know that you always have stuff that you need done, let me know, or sending it out to your customers, right? We have, it's the busy season. I'm going to be able to take a breath. This is where a newsletter is really helpful, right? That you can just go, oh, here you go, right? In the, where we started the conversation today was the accountability group, right? It's an hour of time on a Sunday. I'm only offering 1 hour. But that accountability group gives 30 people an opportunity. And that's the other thing that you may end up having. Hey, Janine, you may end up having is that 1 hour that you have to give to all of your clients, maybe just talking about redoing a faucet. Right? You may be just saying, hey, I'm going to go live from the tile store on Sunday, like, hey, we're going to talk about tile every Sunday for the next 5 Sundays. If you're thinking about redoing your bathroom, your backsplash or whatever, tune in on Sunday, right? It doesn't have to be a huge amount of time, but now you can also record it and it can be there. It's inviting. You have to look at this not as I'm selling, but instead to go, I'm inviting.
Not
And
selling, inviting.
Yeah, you're not selling. You're just charging. An invitation has a cost. It costs money to hang with you when you want personal service, but it might not cost money to hang with you at a tile store on video.
Well, and that would tie into the idea that, there's so many things that are on my to-do list that either don't happen because I'm too busy or they don't happen because I'm slow. And once I get really slow, then I lose some of that
momentum. Sure.
And then you're like, well, since I'm slow, maybe I'll just go to the lake today. You find other things to do, and there's always other things to do. And so then I'm not doing the things that, like the YouTube thing that this would all tie into.
Yeah, it's a live stream. They're easy. They're great. It doesn't have to be long. But gosh, showing me tile samples. Oh gosh, I we could all do that. I mean, the world has moved on from subway tile. I know it's a stunner, but
I could find lots of things to avoid to watch tiles.
yes, I can avoid things to watch, yeah. And so, we just enjoy it, right? Enjoy the time. Okay, I know you got to pick up your kid. I'm going to walk around the thing here. We will, did that help answer your question?
It was good, thank you. I'm dialing right now.
Okay, feeling a little bit better. Okay, Jamie, give us your update.
Hey.
Hey.
Long time no see. It's been a busy couple months. I'm married now.
Now married. That
Yes,
feels nice.
I'm Drayton now is my last name. Yeah. I just found out I had my wedding band on the wrong side.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to be closest to your heart.
Yes.
And go before the wedding ring or the engagement ring, I guess.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In the order on your, still the stack on your. Hand.
Yeah. So it's now right. I've been wearing it for 30 days incorrectly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. An older lady stopped me yesterday to tell me that, but I have been busy with changes. Lots of big changes, partnership changes, just buttoning up some partnerships and as a whole group with business on some things, just having to have some difficult partnership changes too have been really difficult, but I'm glad they weren't a burdensome thing for just me. Just some of them were a little more personal, so they affected a little more personally.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was a whole group thing and that I'm part of a whole kind of group of people who changed up some things. Needless to say, because we kind of, yeah. And then I've just actually been spending the last few months kind of, other than being concentrated with my new husband, just getting my bottom line money together.
Yeah.
And just really have been home saving, and now getting ready to, I'm out of the clear this last month and just kind of getting some financial debts and burdens taken care of and off of my list to do, which also reflected with the partnerships and some things like that, and had to go to court with a couple of them, and just getting those buttoned up are now all good. So my contract saved my life. I don't know how better to say that than that the contracts saved
It's all
my entire existence in life. And so now I get to wait for some checks to come into me, because it was a very costly, court stuff and things like that. But nothing that wasn't destroying or anything like that, because I had the contracts. I had everything in line. So now that's all taken care of. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And that's about it. September 23rd, we have our 3rd year for our paint festival, and we're 2 cabanas from selling out.
good.
We have Raleigh and then now Charlotte. So Charlotte is September 23rd, and Raleigh is next week, I think. Next
That's
Saturday.
wonderful.
And so, so just our 2nd year with that. And then our farm is going great. We just start clearing out all this land, which is so costly.
That's a big space.
Yeah, it's very, very costly. And so like just clearing out that space, and my bar opens next month.
Okay.
Which is vicious too. But we have a great new city manager, and he signed off on everything with like not jumping through hoops, especially the liquor license, which is like a really huge thing and stuff. So that'll be open this month. And then I'm having adult kid turmoil over here.
Right.
That transition between they're not adults, or no, they are adults, but they're not adults. Transition has
Yes.
been very, very difficult. So I'm in a very new, uncharted territory, especially with my youngest.
Yeah.
So
Parenting adult children is a trip.
yeah, it sucks. It's the part they don't really tell you, but
It's a different, well, you're ahead of me. I literally didn't think of the fact that my children would grow up to be adults. Like I didn't, like somewhere deep down, I was so focused on parenting little people that I forgot that little people all become big people.
yeah, because on one end, they're still very needy of you.
Yeah.
And then like to get that understanding that because you're still needy of me, which requires my wallet.
Yeah.
You need to talk to me, and I'm still get the decision. And then sometimes making a decision that they don't like, or being told I'm a horrible mom, or I'm your mom and I should do it. And I'm like, no, you're making choices as an adult that I'm not going to take a hold of. And it's really difficult because I have good kids. And so like I haven't found a safe space to vent either, because everybody's like, but your kids are so magical.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, well, they suck too.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
so
Well,
So that's
welcome
like-
back.
that's
Welcome back.
our space, but I'm good. I have a really great and supportive partner, and he works very, very hard. And partnership in your personal life is just as important as your other partnerships and how they support you and move along. And it's great to know that like it's great to know that like the bottom is not like doesn't necessarily fall out because you have a partner.
Right.
And so I can take a little more leaps and bounds because of that. So
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
that's where it's
Welcome
been
back.
a great few months, but a very emotional few months, but a great months here.
We'll take the love. We'll take it. You're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed to take time. Sandy, what's your update?
Well, I've been very busy.
You are swamped. It's
I'm very
fantastic.
busy. And so I went to Pelican Lake for a few days. Our friends have a cabin there. So we went up Thursday and we came back Monday night and preparing to go out of town. Oh my God, it was just overwhelming. And I would make these lines in the sand, like I'm not making any more appointments before I leave. And then somebody would call and I'd be like, I guess I need to squeeze them in. Anyway, it's just been nuts, but it's good. It's all good. And everything that's going on is good. So I think it should be a big fall. And also next year, a lot of people that are calling me are for next year. And speaking about my neighborhood, so Monday, I get this email from somebody that lives in my neighborhood and they want to sell that house. They want to sell a townhouse in Roseville and they want to buy another house that's bigger.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and they're interviewing agents. I haven't met them before. So I'm going to meet with them tonight, do my interview. So
That's fine.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
fine.
I'm looking forward to that. No, I mean, that's just normal stuff. So yeah, it's been kind of stressful. And then when I was out of town, another gal showed a house for me, and that's really all that she had to do.
Well, and
because I had everything buttoned up, you
Mhm.
know. So let's see. So I don't know. I haven't signed up for another farmer's market, but I want to do one probably in, this month or September when there's actual food to buy. I think there'll be a better turnout.
Yes. food to buy. I was at that farmer's market the other day to check on another client who does Guatemalan jade.
Oh,
I couldn't believe how much work there was. Yeah, I mean, it was food, it was everything, and yeah, it's really blossoming. So yeah, you were being there when it's busy will be fantastic.
yeah.
So definitely.
So I don't have,
Definitely.
the other thing. Okay, so my marketing assistant, she has a full-time day job now. She didn't even tell me about it. But anyway, that's good because she needs to make more money. I mean, working for me was the only thing she was doing. So
Oh yeah, that's not enough. Yeah.
And she's having some life changes right now with her family. I'll just put
Oh,
it that
wow.
way. So she needs to have a full-time job. So she got a full-time job that she likes. And anyway, so I was talking to my coach, last time and talking about what I really need. And so anyway, so we're thinking about me hiring, another agent to do admin work as well as show houses, and just that I could mentor. I mean, she's already the gal I'm going to interview is already an agent for 5 years, but she's my coach's daughter. So anyway, she said, and the funny thing she said is, Sandy, she's not like a real go-getter. It's not like you're going to train her in and then she's going to leave and go out on her own.
Oh, right.
She said she's working for a team right now and the internet leads have kind of fizzled out. And so all the buyer agents this team has hired are leaving because there's no work for them. They
Right.
don't know how to do their own
Stuff.
well, yeah. So anyway, but she's really sharp. So I trust her that her daughter would be a good match. So we'll see what we're going to talk and go from there. So I'm kind of excited because, you know, I want somebody that can, if it's a good fit, cover my business for me when I'm gone, when
Yeah,
I'm on vacation, you know, and then maybe if, cover my business, you know, take over when when and if I retire.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
that was kind of exciting.
I may have another person for you.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Yeah, so she's just does it part-time.
Okay.
So I'll have another meeting for you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
I'll
that's
have
all I
another
have.
meeting for you. That's like, hey, can you fill in here? So
All
we'll
right.
see, we'll see. But it's someone in our, love up group. So.
Okay.
Okay, Janine, wow, so much to tell. So much to tell. What you can't see about Janine is she's actually not covered in sawdust.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun on Monday.
So do you want to tell everybody what happened for you on Monday?
Well, King Demetrius got keys to a storefront gallery spot right in George Floyd Square. And he called me up to tell me, and Mickey and I went over there to check it out. I didn't realize it, like, that was like he just got the keys for that. And, and we were talking about different things, and I said, what about the floors? And he wasn't going to touch the floors. And I said, we should probably do something about those floors. So on Monday morning, it's my office day usually. So I just decided not to be in my office, which wasn't a very hard decision at all because I don't actually like being in my office. Anyways, that's not about this. But I rented some sanders and I don't even know how to sand. I've never rented a rental company like that before either. But we got my assistant and her husband came down and we sanded the whole floor. We got it all done. It still needs to be polyurethane,
done.
but we got that thing looking so good. And then he's got to finish polyurethaning and painting, but I'm super stoked. He's going to do his open house. Also, I work with Javen on Wednesdays, so we got some fun adventures ahead. Javen, can I show him
good.
what you've been working on?
Yeah, we
You wanna-
love having
Okay,
Jason around.
in a second, we'll show you. We don't know where the scissors is right now. Is that the problem? It's a pretty normal problem. Okay. Yeah, so that was really fun to learn a new skill. Not that I learned it very well, but I learned it to what I knew, and then to help King on his dream.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was a total, I do have to say, that's a total Mickey moment, right? Those legacy, now that's a legacy moment, right? Where you just go, and now it's a Janine moment of going, I see something, this will make a big difference. Let me just go ahead and do that and show you how to do that, right? And
Yeah.
that's, so Janine sent me a picture of King sanding the floors. Which he had never done before.
He hadn't done before either. Nobody in our crew had ever done any of the things we did.
Oh, are we gonna see a magic piece here? This is
Yeah.
Jake. Oh,
He double yarned bracelet here. You can see that.
these are
Yeah,
fabulous.
it's pretty great. I know.
Oh, wow. Is he taking orders or
Are you taking orders? Are you gonna sell some?
or make some? I mean, I'll take one just for love, but I'll pay for one as well.
Well, he wants to know how much money you think they should be. And that seems like a rabbit hole.
Oh, well,
Hold on, let me get off my AirPods.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, how long does it take to make?
How long does it take to make, Jaden? Minutes, he said.
We're working it through.
Here, put that in.
Oh, you're here. Oh, Javen. Well, I love your artwork. How long does it take to make one of those?
5 minutes,
5 minutes?
probably.
Well, how much would you like to be paid for 5 minutes of work?
Maybe $5.
So I think that's really what you're gonna learn today is maybe 5 minutes of work might be worth $5.
Oh. How many more do you think you'd make?
A million.
A million?
A million.
You-
Look at this.
Okay, I can show you that in a second, okay? Can
Okay,
you
well, I'm
try?
gonna go into class. So
Okay.
you can show them while we're in class. What
Okay.
else is new? You've got a lot of business changes going on.
So
Summer.
yeah, I turned 40 and I threw myself a birthday party and I was a mermaid and it was fun.
That was so fun.
It was
So fun. Now, this is a curious question. Had you ever spent that much money on a party for you?
Say that again?
Have you ever spent that much money on a party for you before?
No, I always made it through my business some way, like
Yeah.
doing. Oh yeah, Javen got pushed into the 9-foot pool and now he can swim in the deep end. Yeah, I pushed him. Yeah, but he requested.
It was a request. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was this has been a difficult year for a lot of things and a lot of like just personal things working through, and to do this for myself was a big thing.
Yeah. And when are those pictures coming back for you? When are you willing to share? When is that happening?
Yeah, we're working on them. I know Emily is hosting her son's wedding at her house too, so I'm trying to give her a little space to get through that. Emily was our underwater photographer that also
Yeah.
photographed us as mermaids.
Yes, it was just great. So we should expect before fall a mermaid picture of Janine.
There it will be something. There will be.
It'll be
May-
something.
Yeah. The ones you got of me, that little like impromptu photo shoot from the above water. I
Yeah.
love those. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, from me. Oh, the ones that I
From
took of you.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. First of all, it was you guys, I'm just talking about a little picture I took on my phone of Janine because she didn't believe me that she was so beautiful as a mermaid. She looks like a natural mermaid.
I did. I looked like a mermaid. Yeah.
She looked like a mermaid. So I'm like, let me just take a picture of you. And I mean, it looked like the cover of Mermaid magazine. Yeah. If I have your permission, I'll post it if you want. But I didn't know if that was allowed.
1 second.
To post pictures of you as a mermaid, but yeah, if it's okay, I'll post it so that they can see it too one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can't get my 100 and some photos that I took down. I tried 3 times and then I'm like, I gotta work.
Oh yeah, because you have to have them perfect. I don't. Right. This is where this other lesson comes in.
Mhm.
Right. Done is better sometimes than perfect.
Also, my ability to multitask is dwindled to like 0. I have no
Yeah.
ability to multitask anymore. Like my attention to be able to even just have somebody else talking in my ear and pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those, but I also have a bazillion tabs open and notes and like just easily distracted
Yeah.
with too many things.
It is a learned behavior that you have to practice and really give yourself points for every time. So, if you can just use it one time a day as a goal, that's moving it forward. But this is a learned behavior. And what ends up happening is it only takes a few months of like being able to get a point for one, right? If I set it for one time during the day, then I get a little scratch of, you got to keep score.
Yeah.
But again, if you can just do one timer item a day, what happens is when you start coming into winter, in summer, we are all just intoxicated with the fact that we can go outside. But once winter comes, it makes it a lot easier to go, let me take on 2. Let me take on 3, because there's nothing better out there. And you still have small children. I mean, there's a lot of parenting that goes on in the summer here.
Yeah. We've like July was just a whole month of playing.
Yes. And that's what you should be doing. So
Yeah.
one, give yourself permission, but just like we were talking with Kathy before you got here, is because she also has small children, is y'all need to just parent and build that into your business plan. And that's really hard because you've also spent a lot of time at everyone's wedding during this season. This is where you make magic money. So it's just different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to change that.
Janine, do you do styled shoots?
I did at one point, I did a lot of style shoots, but because the amount of weddings I want to be taking on right now, I've kind of cut back on the things that aren't focused on that.
You did them,
Yeah.
you organized them, or you were a part of them?
Both. I've done
Oh,
both
okay.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
What is your question, Jamie Ann? Like what
Well,
is
I've been working for the last 2 years with somebody on a style shoot. I'm specifically doing tables for her each time. And then I'm like, one day I just asked her last week during a style shoot, and I asked her if, what does she charge for her photographers to come? And the florists and stuff all donate their time and their stuff, but she charges anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per photographer to come take the pictures. And my mouth hit the floor because this last one, we had 30 photographers there.
wow.
And
Wow. That's great.
yeah.
So
And
there's right, second shooting. Wow.
no, I didn't know like if that was something that you did or something. And
I didn't see
think-
that as a money making thing. I always
Yeah,
saw that as a
she-
collaboration. Okay.
No, she started at $250
Okay.
a photographer, depending on how big the shoot is. The people that collab are food, if she has any food styling on it,
Okay.
cakes and flowers, the florist. Those are all
Yeah.
a collab to get their pictures, but the photographers all paid. And she designs the mood, the boards, gets the sign up. She had people coming all the way from like Ohio here, and she does them all
Wow.
over. But when my mouth hit the floor, this last one, $750, she rents the venue, all that, $750 those photographers played, and she had 30 over 2 days.
Wow.
Similar to
That's
the class
insane.
you taught. So there is, right, where there's Janine's conversation too. You had a big win since we saw you last, right? On Janine had a 2-day class that she got to do with other photographers. So after you're done tying that, maybe you can tell everybody about that. Because she's now working on her son's new business that we helped instigate.
And now you start going.
There you go.
That's it. All right. We got bracelets going. We'll be at the next farmer's market.
So
Yeah. So
that was a big deal this year.
this was the
Similar.
second year doing it with the same 2 other photographers, and we did, it was a retreat that we did, and we stayed in St. Cloud at a mansion, and it was education based and kind of style shootish. But the other 2 photographers that I teamed up with both have incredible followings. Like one has 500,000 followers on Instagram, and the other one with all her social medias is probably about 500,000 as well. And that we sold tickets for the small little mansion or big mansion in Little Falls, but there was only 2 people from Minnesota there, and we had 15 attendees. So, and that was at $3,500 a ticket, included food and lodging, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a big deal. So a styled shoot may be the other business idea coming out today. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Okay.
Thank you,
Well,
Jamie.
I instantly think of you every time that we do it, like instantly. And she's not a photographer, and she doesn't have a huge following. She maybe has 2,500 people on her
Wow.
Instagram and stuff, but she's very strategic about liking photographers from all over, wedding
okay.
gowns, the whole 9 yards. And she makes up the theme, she designs the mood board, all of that type of stuff. And then she recruits from there. And because they are such beautiful pictures that she of course uses all those, then I think that's where people will sign up. That's why I mean, I do the tables and I've done food for her. And each time it's probably cost me a good $600-700 just to do the food for these style shoots to use for her. Do not get on me that I have not used my pictures yet. But and my stuff, yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is that alone, I think has gotten people to want to click in from all over. I just convinced her to do one with artists of color, like just her creatives of color, for her to give back, because she's like, I have a really hard time getting Black photographers and this and that. I'm like, because it's $500 and $750.
Right.
You know, can you go down on your price point? So we're working out how to do one, but I instantly think of you every time. And she sets up usually 6 scenes during the day. We usually spend a day and a half of setup and then 2 days of shoot.
Okay.
But depending on how many photographers. But when she told me the price, my mouth just hit the floor. I've never asked, and I just asked. And yeah, models, everybody gives of their time except for the photographer's pay.
Right.
Wow. That's incredible.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will connect you guys in a message, because I
Yeah,
think
that would be cool.
she's
Yeah.
not a photographer. She designs sets and stuff like that. Her mom
Yeah.
builds sets and things like that. I'll connect you guys on Instagram in a message. She could probably really walk you through that. I just know from being a part of it, like, and I just literally asked this last time, well, because I seen a message like, well, I bought a ticket to come. And I'm like, people are buying tickets to come and charging. And why are people like paying? And she's like, I've always charged the photographers. That's where, because I couldn't understand how she was renting these venues that are like $2,500 a day and stuff. I'm like, girl, you're paying for this. It all comes out of there, but you can do the
Wow.
calculations at $750 a person. The venue was
Yeah.
$5,000 for 2 days. She made a killing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. Well, and wouldn't I love that as that sugar skull idea?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into class. Karen Karsten, thank you so much for being here. I think she's napping, but I do love it. I do love it that Karen is having a little nap here and there. So we're just going to love her as she's napping. Today's conversation is a big one, and it is always, again, a permission slip. Always. We do have lots of other videos on YouTube, so please use them. I'm going to share my screen, and today we have a lot of things where you might recognize yourself in some of these pieces. And from the things that you've talked about, it is an opportunity to kind of look your business plan straight in the eye and go, yeah, let me fall in love with you again, right? It's just a reminder that you are not alone in the desert of doing business. This image right here is one that I took. I named this little donkey Jenny because she's just a Jenny. And this is just a piece of photography I do on the workaway that I do each year. So sometimes we have to reevaluate the way we're doing business. I needed to do business in a way that also talked about why you should do business differently so you can actually have a bigger life. One of the reasons, right? If you want an interesting business, you have to be an interesting person. And to be an interesting person, you have to invest in doing interesting things. So, sometimes you may not be as interested in a donkey named Jenny, but I was. Income plateau. That is the conversation. We're going to talk about why it's there, who it's there for, so forth. Remember, there's a lot of people that watch us on replay. If you are someone that's watching us on replay, just put something in the comment section to let us know that you're there. We do know you're there because we are averaging about 4,000 hours every month of people coming in to watch. So everything that you guys put out here as knowledge is helpful to other people. It is a big deal. So we have an agenda. We're going to just talk about the definition of plateau and some of these strategies. Richard Branson I feel like he took this right out of my brain. But again, right, business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. I had a meeting with two young, brilliant women the other day, and they were just panicked about getting in a proposal for a grant around zero use building tools, right? So they'd be able to build things that had zero energy usage. So a net zero energy cost, and building things very differently. And one of the things that they were like, we have to get in on this idea. We have to get in on this idea. And I had to tell them, look, this is one of many opportunities. It's just the first one you saw. This is the first one that you liked. It's just the first one that you were ready for. So if you're feeling really strongly about a business opportunity, I just remind people, there's another one behind it. If you're not vibing on it, okay, we'll talk about that. But we often forget why we're in business. And I remind people that the number one reason for a business is annual revenue growth. It is to say that I'm going to work on an art project that yields money, that you're there to do this other thing. But we are complex people, right? And because all of you are really super complex and brilliant, that you also want it to add up to all of these other things. But I remind you, just go back to the target. Your number one target is annual revenue growth. And because you're brilliant and complex, you want it to also add up for you spiritually and physically and intellectually and emotionally and socially and financially and professionally. And many of you that you want it magically and devotionally, different than spiritually. And some of you also want it to add up to be some of these other feelings, right? Like sensual and delicious. And some of you want it to add up to be, more great wisdom or experience, or you want it to shape something different. And that sometimes, after you've been in business a long time, it almost stretches your creativity. So today I want to come back to, and this is actually the number one reason why I put out the 12-week accountability group for right now, is that we've got to focus in on that primary goal, which is we have to do things that create revenue growth. That doesn't mean you have to do more. It just means there needs to be more revenue growth. And the prosperity message that I'm going to give you again is this one, right? Is everything in the external world, everything that's outside of you personally, whether it's chaos, whether it's magic, whether it's beauty, if it's disorder, if it's a pile of money, if it's a bunch of money in the bank, all of this external world all has its root in your internal world. So if you are settled, remember, right, what's the prosperity lesson? The prosperity lesson is you only have one target, and that is to be well within. When you know who you are and where you are, it's really easy to take a shot. When you are not feeling great, when you're not feeling strong, when you're not feeling courageous, boy, the external world starts to look cloudy. So remember, everything that you're building. So I would look around your life and go, what is magical? When it is magical on the exterior, chances are you're feeling really good internally. And so if you're feeling chaotic on the outside, go back to the internal. And that's where this starts. And this is the lesson of fat and happy, right? A lot of times, for those of you who have done business for a long time or hung out with me for a long time, because remember, a lot of my clients I've had for more than 15 years, that sometimes the goal is to get fat and happy, to get to a place where we're content. But that is a myth. It isn't going to be that way for long. No one gets to stay fat and happy for a long time. But fat and happy is an option. You do get to build a business plan that allows itself to yield regularly. And for a lot of people, fat and happy is built on income streams that are passive income streams. That's why, a lot of times people really like real estate. That's why, people like things that pay them regularly. That's why evergreen content is there. Is passive income really allows a base for someone to feel fat and happy. But your business will, if you were hoping that magically one day you would get to let all of the wisdom that you have come in and it would just suddenly be fat and happy and I don't have to do anything, that is a myth. That is a myth, because it is everything that you create, right, will need upgrade. You'll need new equipment, you'll need new customers, you'll need a new life to stay afloat, just energy to stay afloat in economic downturns. And we will always have an economic downturn. So one of the things that I remind people about, and this is a great journal option for you, is to just go into your mind and really go, what does fat and happy look like for me? And sometimes fat and happy is actually some really basic things that you can do right now. Take time off to be with your family, right? Take time to travel, take time to do whatever, hire somebody. But think about what fat and happy looks like for you, because what that is, that I love, is it's a message that says, hey, you're getting information internally that there's a way for you to feel content. And that's really worth exploring, because it'll actually help you drive revenue a lot better. So the first thing I'm going to remind you is to write down those two words, right? Fat and happy. And you can tell by my smile in this picture, right, is I am fat and happy in this picture, hugging this giant pig at the fair, right? That, oh yes, we are so happy together. And that is content. You can see in that image, the pig is content, I'm content, right? And that's about, when are you content? When is it magic? When can you just relax and say, this is fabulous? And knowing what fabulous feels like for you is really when you know it. One of the things about fabulous when I'm creating great things is, for me, it's reviewing the pictures at the end, right? It is that I can go back and go, oh, that was such a great day. I'm so glad that we got to do that, right? Some of you have been with me on what Jamie turned us on to is a certain party, right? That we have dinner on block, right? That it feels so good to be in this middle of this great production. It's easy for me to feel great when I see all the effort that other people come along. And that's really when we look at those alliances. So the alliances that we talked about earlier with Kathy's business model, right? That's a place to feel fat and happy, that you can be content, that these are the right people and you're around at the right time. I've made the right choice. So when you're thinking about your income and it's plateauing, it is to go, okay, what is today? But in order to get to a place, you have to remember, right? The primary goal of your business is revenue growth. That revenue growth is an external valve that's coming from an internal world. And that internal world is about learning when you're fat and happy, and giving it its proper place. It's not really hoping that one day I'm going to be able to do so much work that I don't have to do extra. It just doesn't work that way. But what can work immediately is that you can get to a place where you go, I feel content. This is delicious. This is delicious. So think about that. That's a perfect journal option for you. And we are not steam engines that just constantly go. Even a steam engine has to stop, right? There will always be a bad year. There will always be a time for things to go poorly. There will always be something like, the world crashing down. But the reason that you want to plan for a bad year during a good year is because it's actually a lot more efficient. That it is a lot more efficient for you to be creative when you're already in that momentum. It is much harder to pick up when you're already at the bottom. So it is an energy piece that I want you to take with you, right? And this, if you're going to take one snapshot of something to remember, this is your secret weapon, which is plan when things are good for things to go poorly. And the reason that you do that isn't about survival. And that's where we've all been taught, right? Put the money away. Sure, that's great, but it's you miss the prosperity point of it. And the prosperity point is, it is so much easier when you're in positive momentum to figure out how to do crazy things when you're already doing it. When you're already doing it, it's just easier. The place that you have to learn is what we've talked about in the small business cohort, what we've talked about in some other things is mise en place, right? Everything in place, or the second brain, putting those ideas into a space. I had someone the other day who was in a business cohort from many years ago literally call me to go, oh my gosh, I just figured out how to make the second brain work for myself. And she's put out 60 books on Amazon this year. So when you figure out a missing piece, I never know when it is, but her ability to figure that out wasn't when things were low. Her ability to take that knowledge in was when she was open and creative, and she's actually already having the best year. Who thought she'd have time to build 60 extra products? The energy will present itself. So use that time, that creative energy time, to really consider these other ideas. Just mark them down, just put it in the things, like it's a fleeting thought, but get them in that notebook, because you can go back to that notebook later. So when you are happy, it is easier to do it. So here's the, right, because I am a business strategist, here's the math, here's the boring stuff. This is why you actually hang out with me, is right, because I am, the most huggable math geek you may know. But a great business, a steady business, a business that is constantly plateauing, a happy plateau, should be growing by at least 4% with each tax filing. So if you made 200,000 in 1 year, then I expect to go up to 208. So you want a healthy business should be growing by about 4%. That's sustainable. That's what we consider sustainable growth. So that's different than profit, right? But the business itself should grow, and that is in annual revenue. So when we're looking at what is that goal, we're really looking to say a stable business always has some growth in it. It is really normal for everybody to have a flat year about every 5 years. And that is really usually around investment or having some customers change. Dynamics just change. So we really plan on about every 5th year that there's some sort of flattening in that, not necessarily a negative. That's more than 5 years of growth. So when you have a flattening that's more than 20%, right, then we kind of panic. But a 20% spread in a business isn't, we don't consider that more than just a flattening. So a flat year can be taking back perhaps the growth that they've had over the last 4 or 5 years, and then recouping it in another way. So when we look at what does it mean to have, income that is, right, flattening, this is one of the normal places that you can be. When we look at the ideas around, having the same income, many people put a place in their brain and they're like, yeah, I need to make 100 grand. Well, guess what? They'll make that, whatever that number is that you're like, this is my number. A lot of times they'll keep that number for a long time. What they don't realize is they're self-plateauing, right? That they've put a goal somewhere in their mind and they've plateaued at that. The problem is, if you don't take on coaches and you don't come to classes like this and you don't do all this other stuff, what ends up happening is they kind of stay in that little rut of it's enough, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's enough, it's enough, it's fine. And what ends up happening, if they do that for a decade, they actually end up with 40% less money and they're in this kind of depression. And so an income plateau to happen every once in a while, to have your income go down by 20%, to have it do that a couple times every decade, yeah, you're still normal. It's still a healthy business model. Still healthy business model. What isn't a healthy business model is if you're making the exact same contracts you did 10 years ago and they haven't grown, you're actually really making a lot less money. So understand your own income plateau, what that means in the greater scope of things, right? How should a business grow? When does an economic depression happen in your business? And what is the plateau really? And so even if it's growing, just not fast, but it's still growing, you may not actually be at an income plateau. You may just be at a stabilizing point. And you can stay at that 4% of growth, especially if you have a product that is, like a grocery store or something like that. You can stay at that for a long time. That's a sustaining business. A lot of real estate is a sustaining business model, right? They can manage their rents that way. It is, a lot of things can work like that. You see this a lot actually in farming, when they're doing land rental to other farmers, that it doesn't have to be a huge amount. They just have to stabilize the land. So there are lots of ways to look at that. So now I'm going to kind of walk about the 10 ways to manage that. Some of these are going to be right for you and some of them aren't. What I do have at the end is like these fast tips, like, hey, I'm already in there. I'm past plateau. I need to make some money. I got some 10 tips for you, so don't worry. The first piece is the customer experience. The fastest way to change what you have is to go to your current customers and change their experience. So I'll give you an example. And by the way, Sandy, I did put this cat in for you because it's so cute. But right, figure out what your customers need, right? And sometimes that overall experience is something that's not huge. We were just working with a grocery store and have some other grocery store owners. And one of the ways that small town did it is they looked for ways, again, to thank their customers. One of the past things that we talked about was really a different way to not always be selling, but to really look at positive showcasing. Customer experience, if you take customer experience and then go back to the video on positive showcasing, you'll really see something different. But this little grocery store, they did something really simple. They're in a small town. They just took about, I don't know, $40 worth of soda pop and they put it in ice coolers and they invited everyone to take a free pop that one day. And they wrote a note up there that says, hey, thank you so much for being our customer. We are individual people that live in your town. It's a big deal that you come into our store. Thank you so much. Please, we'd like to celebrate you. Have a pop today, right? That one act got them, right, a relationship that we have. And it's also for those of you who studied the gift economy, there's some other methodology in there, but elevate your overall customer experience and look to that. And look to that. We like to try it out on new customers. We actually have to go back and you'll get a much faster payout if you don't focus on your new customers, if you actually go back and focus on your old customers, because they will notice the upgrade and they already have built the trust with you. So if you're going to go back to your existing customers with something good, you're going to want to go back to those customers. And so that's in reach versus outreach, right? So customer experience to create, to reverse an income plateau is really going back to past big customers. We talked about this digital transformation. I know that you guys are so tired of me talking about how important digital is in social. I need you to think about this internally. When we look at things that are actually slowing up a business, most of the time, it's actually the internal infrastructures that need to be readdressed. So we need to look at how you're taking money, what's the cost of taking that money. I had one business that we just changed how they were billing their top 25 customers. And we invited those top 25 customers to not pay online with an online banking fee, but we just helped them. We invited them to a different concept of please just write us a check, because a check is actually worth more than you paying it this other way. You're a trusted customer. We want to do it this way. If you do it this way, then we can have this. So it was looking at a digital transformation, and it was worth 3% to them to have their customers pay old-fashioned ways. Kathy had actually brought this up around a $50 bill in her digital media of why paying cash to a small business is so important versus swiping your card. First of all, making a sale to a small business is important of any kind, so there's that. But handing someone cash, it doesn't depreciate over the times that it's turned. And the same is true with a check. So if we are paying large bills, and what I mean by a large bill is any bill over $800, the difference for that customer to take it as a check is really valued at a higher amount. So the internal digital transformation, really understanding how digital can help you automate billing, automate reminder billing, automate just business operations, right? Sending out an email, sending out a newsletter, inviting, right? Optimizing your marketing efforts. These are things that are great. Sometimes it's just you being posted on someone else's feed. But those are, right? I put this customer experience as number one for a reason, because the best time to sell something to somebody is when they just bought something from you. So go to your existing customers to increase that, and then go back to your existing customers with a digital transformation. So look at your list. What can you send out to your list immediately? For if any of you opened up that email that said, hey, there's an accountability group, right? That only went out. That invitation, I only sent it out to 150 people. So that part was, who are the 150 people that are closest to me that could use this time or use this piece of love, right? How can I love the people around me to create more wealth? So if you got that email from me and you're on that email list, man, that's not going out to everybody. That is 150 people that got that invitation. If you are one of those 150 people, thank you, right? But that's where optimized marketing efforts means that. It's loving your core customers and loving them in a way that's uniquely yours, right? And what is my favorite thing to do with you, right? I'm a math geek. One, I love to hug you. I love to love you. I love to watch you make money, and it's fun to make money together. So there's that. Income plateau, again, looking at the number 3 way is research and market your business. Here's what everybody forgets this, but you're growing, you're expanding, you're reaching new limits. The customer you had 10 years ago is different too. So when you first started out 10 years ago, or when you were 10 years younger, your business was different. So was your customer. Even if they stayed your customer, they're actually not the same demographic. people forget that have been in long-term business that that family that had little kids now has teenagers. And then in another 10 years, now they are empty nesters. So research your market and research your business market. That the more you have around, the longer you're here, the longer you can sustain relationships, the more you actually have to go back in and go, oh, I've evolved, but so is every one of my customers.
Mickey, can I
Yeah.
butt in for 1 second?
Yeah.
So I just used Jasper, which is an AI like Chat GPT yesterday.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, Jasper,
I'll check.
tell me my client avatar for a busy mom with kids who appreciates artwork. And Jasper gave me like hobbies, places they go, like
Oh my gosh.
in a simple question like that, built out a client avatar. So then when I ask Jasper to create well, I work through a blog and I can do it as a voice of whatever my brand voice was in talking to that mom. So now my avatar, Jasper knows my avatar. And then now I can say, okay, with this blog, create 10 Instagram post descriptions with that client avatar in mind from this blog. And I'm like, my head blew up. Oh, and I can also have it do emojis, which also takes time, and Jasper did that. So
Yes.
that's
So
a
help
little
everybody know what
mind-blowing thing that I got
is.
yesterday. Jasper or Chat GPT?
Yeah, so help them know what
Those.
Jasper is, how they get it, what that is, because this will be new for some of it.
Yeah. Okay, so Chat GPT is the open software that's available for free. I have been using Jasper and paying for it for a little over a year, and they have a little elevated services within there where you can create brand voices specifically, and you can change them for whatever brand you're using. And then you can create client avatars, and then you can even have it examine like other websites that you would like to be influenced by and have your voice be by, and have that as like a library. So when you're creating content for your brand and having this artificial intelligence create content for you, it has an understanding of how you want to be represented.
So that I think is a huge deal, right? So I'm putting it into the chat box. So I'm going to put that in you. So if you can just give them that piece so they can cut and paste. But again, right, looking at how to do the avatar, it's a step. It's a couple of steps, and it gets you where you're going. And you created that for your existing customers.
Yes. Yeah. And just being able to build the content and how I'm talking to my client, who is that specific person.
And for you, right, first of all, I love that it made your head blow up. Right. Right. And
how easy it was, that I didn't have to do all the work for it, and it was like right in front of me. Yeah.
Well, and Karen did that on she did some of that on this actual class on just putting in some other pieces. Michelle Berg, who was also in some of your other groups, had a class on this, so that was great. Karen went to that class. But again, getting to know AI tools and how to actually ask the question. So Karen, I'm going to let you have a backup on that. You went through and said, here's what, so like I sent in today's topic, and then she went, let me talk to AI and just take the writing and bring it forward in the description, right? And it sent me like 3 different ways that we could have proposed this as a post.
Yeah, it's all in how you can, the prompts that you can give it. You tell it that you want a blog, but you want it to be, the tone to be fun or casual or professional. And it gives you something different every time. And Michelle is going to be having a special on that class soon. And it's very easy. It's self-paced, and she's excellent at it. But there's so many things you can do with it. You can have it write you a podcast script out of the same material. And you can say, oh, I want you to time it. How much time should I spend on this and that? And it gives you the script. You can hate it, but there it is. And they got the framework for it then. So you can just go in and redo it. But it says things you're like, and when it misunderstands what you say, it's really hilarious. So
Right, right. And Janine, it wasn't just that it just gave it to you. You still had to work it,
Yeah.
right? I mean.
Oh,
that-
absolutely. Yeah. And you can have it rework it. And if you just like want to be entertained, you could say, write this in the voice of a pirate. And that's also fun. Or what would Snoop Dogg say about this?
So-
It's kind of
so-
fun to have it take on different personas just for the fun of it
It's
too.
so fun. And I use Chat GPT every day for my own play. And so wherever I'm hanging out with people at lunch, that I'm like, okay, let's go ask a question to Chat GPT and see what happens. And I do have the paid version, so I get the little more too. But it will give you something as simple. So I was sitting in the car the other day, and I was sitting with someone who is complaining about all the things that like every job idea that we gave them, they had a complaint for. And I said, okay, I'm just going to take all these complaints and just pretend that you were an Uber driver. And then I asked it to give us a rap song of being an Uber driver with these complaints. And it just came out, and I'm like, here you go, you can sing this song and actually do it that way, right? So you can it's a fun party trick, just to laugh. We used it actually, I don't remember what it was. We did it actually for Karen Karsten, that my husband said, write me a poem for my mother-in-law on how I can be the best son-in-law ever, right? Like, how can he get number one status? And then he said, do a positive one and a negative one. And I think you wrote them in your card, maybe.
he
But,
did.
Yeah. So, that it doesn't always have to be huge. What we are going to learn from all of these items is exactly that. You will ask a question differently, which is a prompt, and you'll actually really start to learn your tone and your market. Janine, what is, so how long have you been using Jasper?
A little, it's probably about a year and a half or so.
And what has that done for you?
Made me ultra efficient on things, like in general tasks that didn't feel so big because it had a structure. Like you could even just have like, give me an outline of this topic, and then that allowed me to be creative enough to go into doing some writing within that. But when you start with a blank paper, it can be difficult. So it just helps initiate some ideas.
Right. So in the lessons that you've had before, when we talk about the prosperity mindset around a second brain, right? We've said, take all the things that you're doing and put them in your second brain. What Jasper does is it's just a second brain.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And the reason that I like the concept of the second brain is because it allows you to never start at zero. You always start from a base of prosperity, that there's always something in the file, and that changes it. The second thing, for any of you who have perhaps ADHD in general or other diagnoses where having a helper, so they call it a body double in ADHD. And you may have noticed this just from remembering this from being a teenager, like redoing your bedroom or something. Like if you wanted to clean out your closet, you just invite your friends over, listen to music and dance. You just need a helper friend. And they call that in ADHD a body double. It's just someone to sit next to you while you do your homework. That's why teenagers love to do homework together. Even if they're talking or whatever, they'll just get more done by being together. So you'll get more done if if you just have a body double. And in these AI tools, that's what they're giving you is a body double. That is great piece. Thank you so much for adding that in. That is fabulous. Good tip. So again, right, research your market, research your business. And in this one, we could have added, put in there these new pieces. And then it's again, targeting those, exactly what Janine was saying, right? Targeting new customer segments. Really looking at, you've seen this before in other classes, right? Who's standing next to your customer? Who hasn't seen you before, right? These are untapped customer markets. I'm working on another project right now that is targeting runners at anything below a half marathon, that they're building a product that specifically, most products that are built for runners are made for ultra, people that are running a marathon or more, and giving that runner that can compete at that level all of the tools, and really saying, look, we need to give all of these other runners some tools as well. So it's looking at new customer segments. So you are really wanting to look at what are the other customers that are appropriate for you, and how can you reach them, and what is the product? Sometimes it's just changing that product market. And it doesn't have to be all the time to look at those new customer segments. It just has to be some of the time. So if your ideal customer is X, you may need to go back to letter Q and go, let me go back to this other customer who's still at the query stage. They haven't become customer X, but they're still customer Q. And that is, we've got to talk to customer Q at least some of the time. And the way that we've talked about that too is, right, we call that networking. These are people on the query stage. That is why you're networking, is so that you can get people into the Q stage. And that is, right, in all customer X's start out as customer Q. And that's query. So one of the quick ways you can do is look at your age group. Exactly what she did is look at here's my customer. What is that they already are buying, and are they comfortable, right? And so think about what that is. Streamlining operations. This is the back of the house. This is everything that happens in the back of the house. The back of the house, again, we are looking for the cost to run a business all in to be less than 25% of revenue. So some business models aren't eligible to do that, but again, I should be able to run all the aspects of my business for 25% of my revenue, and to be optimized. So that is why technology is such a big deal. That is why we're looking at these other things. That's why AI is such a big deal for a small business, is to be able to do that. Jamie, I see you raise your hand. Give us a question.
Okay, so in these discover strategies to optimize internal processes, you're saying this 25% cost. I know, like, it's sometimes like I see these, have these conversations with people, and that what I need doesn't match with what my budget says. So, and I mean, especially with being a small business. So like, I'm thinking about the lounge today. My budget does not have $1,200 a month to pay a social media person, but we need it. And I have not figured out how to break it down. And so it's like, I'm struggling with finding, where do you find those things at? Because I also too don't have the time to do it. Like, but how do you write in 25% of your revenue when those numbers are, especially when you're starting something new, when those numbers are so small?
But that's so starting something new is different, because that's an investment strategy. And that is really looking at what's your investment budget. So 300% is the number that that people underestimate their startup cost by. So whatever, if you thought it was going to cost you $10,000 to start up, the real answer these days is it's really probably 3 times that. So in a new startup, we see that people have in their mentality the startup number that they think it is. It's almost always 300% more than what they think. So in a startup phase, you're not going to be able to do that. But in an average business that's running regularly, the internal cost of building, right? That all of these pieces, that's an ideal. Not every business structure can do that. Can a tax office do that? Sure. But they also have the other things that are there. So that means really looking at what you're paying out in payroll. You should be at that 25%. Then you've got the next piece out that's coming in to, you've got taxes, you've got some other things. But should my office, my payroll, and the basic cost of running my business should be 25% of my revenue. That doesn't include, I have to pay taxes, right? That doesn't include, I have to pay some of these other things, but the running of your business, not the cost of doing business, but the running of your business. Does that make sense? So when you are looking at the investments that you're making on this other section is a little different. So if I'm looking at, do I have an assistant? Do I have an office? Do I have accounting, right? The very basic parts of your business shouldn't be more than 25% of your overall revenue. So you've got two different things. And for you specifically, you have so many new projects coming. Increase your startup budget because you also know that you need the posting. You need the posting. And that's really just saying, look, we'll stop underestimating my startup costs. The more wealth you create, the more you'll be like, yeah, it's so much easier to have a little extra in that budget to start with. So that may also be delaying until you have enough startup money. People underestimate their startup costs ridiculously. Because, and the number one reason to do that, the number one reason that people do that, and you can look in the mirror when you think about this, the number one reason people do that is because they're optimistic. They're optimistic. It's nothing deeper than that. That's the great piece of wisdom, is that because you're optimistic and you can do things with magic, you go, oh yeah, I'll just use my magic again. Well, sometimes your magic is thin that day. So, think about that. So streamlining your operations is going to be a big deal. That's another way to kind of work on that income plateau. We're going to see, we see a lot of people talking about AI and that it's going to take jobs or whatever. Well, guess what? It is going to affect white collar workers more. And it's going to be efficient. So, and it's not going to take your job. It's going to give that job to someone who knows how to use that tool. So if you are looking at that, you need to know how to use the new tools that are out here, because you need to know how to recognize if somebody really knows how to use that tool or really doesn't. Okay, product diversification. It is expanding your existing products or services to cater to something different, or to diversify your products to cater to somebody that has a new preference. So can you look at new price points, new ideas, new brands? We see this a lot where you see stores that are retail decide that they're not going to carry the brand, Hullabaloo, and they've decided now that they're going to carry brand Yahoo because it's just a better piece. So sometimes it isn't that you actually have to change your customer or change whatever. You may just change who you're working alongside or what is the product that you're there. I'll use Janine's as an example, that it used to be that you would sell a lookbook, and that lookbook, you kept getting it better and better and better and better, right? So that it was so much better that the lookbook that they got from online was so paltry that it wasn't even exciting, right? So sometimes it's not even that you have to look at product diversification of having more things to offer. It is to just say, change the brand of the internal things that you're offering. And it may be new price points, it may be new ideas, it may be something else. An example would be, look, we took this picture of you long ago. Why don't we go back to your old pictures? And now what's really in style is black and white series. to go, let's go back and recapture all of your stuff in a black and white vision, or let's capture it so that it looks like an old time photo. We can always use the digital content that we have to reformat it. Hey, pick out the 10 best pictures that we've taken of your kids over the years, and we'll make you a video, right? Or we'll make you a lookbook of having them all be colorized and perfect, right? So that would be a great graduation gift. We've taken pictures of your family over the years. Here's another way that we can use the existing content that we have and showcase them growing older. So there's lots of different ways that you can look at product diversification. Geographic reach. This, I am more and more surprised at how many of the people that we're doing business with are not physically near us. So if you're Kathy, an example would be, right, that expand your geographic reach. Look where there are other customers that don't have access to a designer. So to say that you can do things online is a huge win. So, get to those small towns where they don't have a designer. Everything's going to come in the mail anyway. So give them those tools to have a great city designer experience in a small town. So you can just looking at a new geographic market and figuring out, you don't have to physically change your location because we have internet that can do that with you. So looking at that business may also be looking at how you can ship something, looking at what something can be. So geographic reach is an easy one. Loyalty benefits work. Oh my goodness. If you have not been someone that looks at points, you will now. This is actually the largest amount of venture capital coming in to the marketplace in tech right now is loyalty benefits. As you know, I've been working a lot with something called blockchain, which is the math that builds things. And this is loyalty benefits is the #1 ledger system that is really of use right now. So loyalty programs are really a big deal, and you're going to see loyalty programs become truly another revenue source. If you remember our traveler Liz, the person who does aerial photography, Liz has been traveling the world. Why haven't we seen Liz? Because she's been using loyalty benefits to travel the world. And that part is amazing. So when you think about loyalty benefits are changing everything. So they have a benefit. They're not really cash, but you can use them like cash. And when you have something that has value and isn't cash, but you can use it like cash, that is called in the finance world a fungible token. So a non-fungible token. When you look at the word NFT with art, that's what they're creating. Something that has value, but it's not a physical thing. So when we look at loyalty benefits, I would start looking at what those are. People are using them for customer retention. They're looking them for buying opportunities. There's just so much they offer. Then complementary business alliances. Look at your strategic partnerships and stakeholders in your industry, not just in your grouping, right? Look at them in your industry. Look at who is there and who has resources, because someone who's already big really wants to know the up and coming. And so don't think that because they're so great that they don't want to be with you. They want what's new and up and coming because they need the life force energy. They need what you have to bring. So just because they're 20 years ahead of you doesn't mean they don't want to know you, because everyone in your industry wants to know who's up and coming. So if you are someone who is an up and comer, go hang out with those people. Send an email. It's easier to get there. Upskilling your employees. If you have employees, this is where we are really seeing benefits. We're seeing this in HR across every industry, that really training and developing your employees is critical. And that means investing in programs to upskill. And when you are looking at, that's also why we cry when someone we've invested leaves, and you'll cry less if you've got 10 of them that are all invested in. When one leaves, that's fine. You've got 9 more on the bench. But this is for those of you who are running really tight business models, you have to upskill your employees. We have a frame shop that many of you know of, that I also work with. And that was one of the things that we did for her people, is we just randomly upscaled all of her employees, and we invited them to figure out how they wanted to be upskilled. And one of the things that, you know, they're framing art, right? But what they wanted to know was more about art. So we gave them ways to upskill and really grow as a team. But what happened isn't that they sold more revenue. What happened is that they could recognize in the revenue that was walking in the door ways that they could frame better, they could mat better, they could make something, they could recognize that this could have a different change in its pattern if they changed, right? So giving them basic skills made them more excited to produce, because they could produce at a higher level. So when they knew that they could produce something that was bigger and better and really just cooler, they did that. And then they started to look at ways that they could talk about the work that they were creating. It's not just that we're selling framing, it's that we're selling framing. We're co-creating with people to frame something that's important to them. So upskilling your employees is a lot of things. If I were going to do a journal entry, it would be this. It would really be, this is a critical piece. That's actually why I left it as the last thing, because I want that on your brain. Upskilling, upskilling, upskilling. So bonus idea, right? New is now. If it's new, it's now. You want to know if it's new, it's now. This is actually just a picture I did, a little piece of art that I did on this dog that's always barking at me. But again, right, it's not, it wasn't, the picture of this dog in its regular picture form wasn't as interesting as when I created it into something different, right? And that just made it more exciting to me. But it just made it, right, new is now. We all want to try new things. We all want to go, oh yeah, do I need to see a dog then pink? Of course I do. If you would like to know the picture of me that is on my mother's desk, this is it. I took this picture, and welcome to Mickey Michaworth in 11th grade, right? So just so you know, I loved sleeves then. It is apparent that I have always loved puffy sleeves. So if you're wondering why I wear so many puffy sleeves, apparently I've loved them since the 11th grade. But you are always growing, and you're growing in some way, and your annual revenue should grow too. But you are more creative. Be more creative. You'll want to do that. This is the one that you will want to screenshot of. You've got to make a plan for change. Income plateau didn't happen on its own, which means that you've got to go back through and go, here's my planning, here's my marketing, here's how I'm going to set up strategy. Strategy, remember, is results and checkpoints. A lot of people are like, oh, those are my big ideas. No. Strategy is that we're going to take those goals and we're going to create the result. We're going to define the results that we want, and we're going to hit checkpoints. Checkpoints in strategy is how all the magic is done. If you want to know why we have so many people do great things, is we've given them checkpoints. So if you want one thing to take away from today, I hope it's this one, is that you are really going to create those goals, define what that target is, right? What's your bullseye, and then hit those checkpoints. Assign. You've got to assign who's going to take that task, and then you've got to really look at those deploying. How do you actually make it happen? In the 12-week year, they talk about it differently, but this is really a lot of what that is in all of them. Right? Creating those areas of focus. Personal mindset, that's where I started with, and then services and products. Wow, there's my dyslexic slide. Whew. All right, here is your top 10. You can just take a screenshot of this. You have 10 new ways that we have as a way to sell differently. Look at unconventional spaces, look at private showcasing. private showcasing is the most underutilized tool that all of you are using. So think about private showcase. That means taking something that's small and saying, we're going to showcase this item. So think about how you can use private showcasing differently. And private showcasing is different than a limited edition sale, right? A limited edition sale, if we were looking in Jamie's model, is I only have 12 seats, right? I only have this. That's a limited edition of anything. So think about what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to stop share. Again, here is my big, right? Here's my smiley face for you. Join me in accountability group. I would love to see you. It's always fun to hang out with you, and I always love watching your magic. All right, so I am right at the button. Please tell me what your takeaway is today. One, thank you for being with me. It is a pleasure for you to take time with me. And 2 hours is a lot to ask out of anyone's life. So, and I do want to notice that that Janine is actually wearing the newest product that was created today. It looks like you already have. Did you buy those 2 new bracelets that you have on your wrist? Oh, yeah. Oh, you got to unmute. Yeah.
It's not official, but I think I'm going to be contracted as like a rep for this new
I
company.
think you are the new rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm hoping there's something in yellow and blue there.
Yellow and blue. Okay, Javen, we have a request for yellow and blue bracelets. Okay.
Yeah.
For
If I could
Mickey.
put in one
Mhm.
order, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it has anything sparkly, that's mine too.
An investor.
Yeah.
I'll order one too.
Oh, 2 orders. What's your color?
I
We got
want
2
one
orders.
that's just like Mickey's. So we can,
Yellow,
we can be
yellow and
bracelet
blue.
sisters.
Awesome.
Yes,
All right.
if we could have twinsies, that would be great. Yeah, yellow and blue. It's matching my outfits today. Okay, Janine, what's your takeaway today?
So many things, but really I've gotten out of so much of the planning part of it and just doing all the things. And I think I need to go back to like a plan. And part of it is I play a lot. So the plan isn't there because I've been just trying to do the basic things to do the things. But I think revisiting some strategy behind things would be helpful in moving things along a little bit differently.
Yeah, or even what I like about being at that planning place is it really allows you to go, am I feeling this? Am I jiving with this?
Mm-hmm.
And right, because everything that's external is coming from internal.
Yeah.
And so from that prosperity piece of what are we creating, what are we magnifying out in the world, it's really knowing what point you want it to magnify from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy, are you with us, or are you able to connect on what you took away today? She might be in listening mode. She's parenting. Okay, well, when you are, jump in. Jamie, I'm going to go to you. What's your takeaway today?
My takeaway of what I wrote is that an invite costs. Oh, that was my number 1 thing. I wrote it on my paper here.
Okay.
And then just evaluating my which I'm in the process of doing too, just reevaluating. I'm gonna taking those 10 steps and then just evaluating where I'm at in the processes of now, and where we're going to. A couple of them there's doing, I didn't know they were a part of the process, but like with staff and people, just really giving them the ability to be able to understand why we do what we do, training to understand a little bit better, and my increase in how that looks like. I think that's important for us, because I have different people that we use for different things. So like just making sure they're trained right and they're very clear. And then so that I have enough of those so that then if somebody's gone, that doesn't affect us so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, upskilling.
Yeah.
Upskilling is a big deal. Kathy, are you with us? What's your takeaway today?
She put it in the chat, Nikki.
Oh, she put it in the chat. Oh, good. Okay. What makes me fat and happy at 4% growth? Yeah. Okay, Sandy, what's your takeaway today?
Well, I am so excited to try out Jasper
Oh, yeah.
because every single week I have to write a newsletter. And I'd rather write my own article, than use one of those articles I grabbed from that website, although they are very good articles. So, I talking about upskilling, I will share that Jasper with my marketing assistant, as I think she would also, like we've kind of been doing the same thing over and over, that would be a good refresh, upskill and refresh and something new. And then the other thing, I need to, and I think, so that will make me more efficient, but then in my day-to-day business, I also need to streamline because I am getting more business and, I need to be able to handle it without, working like all the time.
Right.
So, efficiencies.
And the way that you can handle it is by having more resources for your clients, not necessarily you being a bigger resource.
Right.
That's the way you will become a bigger resource as you have more resources around you.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Write that down.
Yeah. So if you were thinking about it as the picture, so in that lesson from me, what you would have seen is a hand, and then I would have started putting things in the hand, because that's really what you're doing. Is right now you're one stone, right? This is what I have to offer. I can't actually grow that stone.
Right.
But if I start putting little stones into my hand, now I really have a lot more weight into that hand. So I would think about it that way. I would think about it very visually. Here is what I am. What are the things I need to put in here so that there's more, right? There's more.
Okay.
Good takeaway. Karen Karsten, any takeaway from you?
Well, I think it's really interesting that people, I like the way you organize things always. So I like to look at the 10 steps. And I really think people need to just really experiment a little bit with the artificial intelligence. But you have to remember that it does have limitations because it's not a human being. So it doesn't understand emotions. And Sandy, if you have something that you pick up off the internet, you can drop it into ChatGPT and have it change it a little bit to make it different. So you wouldn't have to restart it. You can just drop it in there and have it change it for you. You look at it, you say, well, I'd like it to be more sandy or whatever. So, and your assistant can do that with all of it, because it doesn't have to be something that you originated. Because if you have free articles that you've got, you can jazz them up without doing it yourself.
Right.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being with me today. I do appreciate it. I always love seeing your face. And remember, this is a joyful time. You are the right person at the right time, and that you're doing the great things, and you are all growing. You are all growing. You just don't know what's really going to grow this week. So I do want to thank you for spending time with me. It is always a good time. And Kathy Korgard, I want in on that accountability group. Okay, you are in. All right, this is your official, you're in. Okay, if you need to be in accountability, let me know. You can text me or call me or whatever, but and then Karen will have this available for you on YouTube. So I will see you then on there. Okay, hopefully I'll see you again. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. I can't wait for my bracelet. Yay.
Me too.
Bye.